Welcome to this episode of Talking About Rock. I'm Rob Edwards. Today's metal guest has reemerged on the speed metal scene. The band originally formed in 1985, Peekskill, New York, and after breaking up and reuniting in 2013, and after 2 studio albums, World Circus and Think This, they are back to answer the metal call once again. Here to chat about their new album, Morta, due out August 5th, please welcome to the show, Josh Christian from TOXIK. Hey, Josh, how are you, man?
Hey, Rob. Thanks for having me, man.
Excellent, excellent. So tell us a little about background about the band and reuniting and stuff. That's excellent, man. I'm really happy about that.
Well, it's been a pretty long process, I should say. We started first reform. We hadn't been together since the early '90s. So our first shot at coming back around was in the early 2000s, 2007. And revolved around getting a documentary made. Someone wanted to make a documentary about the band. The documentary didn't get off the ground, and neither did the band, but it kind of kicked us into that mindset that, hey, maybe there's something to do here. And a few years more went by, and one thing led to another. And honestly, now I think I've been around more with TOXIK now than we were in our first iteration. Like, we've been really kind of doing it now since 2013, 2014. So longer this time than the first time, and right now it's fantastic. Looking forward to a new record coming out, and yeah, everything's really great, man.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, rock and metal is definitely starting to be re-energized all over the place, and with all the different tours coming out and different projects, it's really great to see. And I was reading some stuff on you. You're being described as like the gymnast on the guitar, but actually your metal focus was drums at first, correct?
Yeah, when I first started as a kid, I played drum. Well, I played guitar and drums kind of at the same time, but I ended up going back to guitar later on because I couldn't write songs from behind the drum set. And that was what really kind of made the decision final for guitar. And that was way back when I was about 19 years old. So that's a long time ago.
Got it. So were some of your musical influences when you were starting out with?
Well, I am a product of my environment and a child of my times. I was, of course, as a young guy, introduced to all the same classic hard rock that everyone else was. I was fortunate enough to be coming into my teen years right when real metal was kicking off. I was part of that young group of cassette traders when I was 12, 13 years old. So I got exposed pretty early on to European metal, not just British Invasion, because of course that was Priest and Maiden, and then Scorpions to a lesser degree, but I was more focused on the other stuff, the harder stuff, like Motorhead was big for me, then Venom, Merciful Fate, like those bands really kind of what opened me up to wanting to do heavier music. I'm an American, so I liked Motley Crue. Motley Crue was what came after Van Halen, right? So I liked that. But there was something more tangible and more real about Merciful Fate, very much, especially. Merciful Fate was big for me because they really bridged the gap between sort of the darker themes and the heavier music, but they still had a power metal element to them. And then along comes Metallica, and again, Venom too, a bit. And yeah, it just was a great time to be a kid, man.
Definitely. I know. I was the same way. I mean, we had cassettes, and you could record your friend's cassette if you had the dual tape deck and stuff like that. Or you could actually back then we were recording songs off the radio, right? You could do that type of thing though. But I remember when Metallica came out with Ride the Lightning, and I wasn't really into the hardcore speed metal yet, but they came out with that album. That was a game changer for me. That was just amazing.
That's my favorite Metallica record. You see people ask what their favorite record is from Metallica. Kill 'Em All is great. Master of Puppets is great. I really like those first few records, but Ride the Lightning is my personal favorite.
Yeah, I just thought the songwriting and playing was amazing on it. Really, definitely.
And it was heavier than Kill 'Em All. Kill 'Em All was cool, but was still like kind of speedy and hyper. Whereas there was something really heavy about Ride the Lightning that, that riff and that tune specifically, For Whom the Bell Tolls, was just...
Yeah, For Whom the Bell Tolls. I love Fade to Black.
I remember first heard that. I was like driving my dad's Granada, and we had it like on cassette. You know what I mean? Seriously. It was like, this is amazing. To your point earlier about recording stuff off the radio, we had a show in New York that came out of down county closer to the city called Midnight Metal, Matt O'Shaughnessy's Midnight Metal. And I couldn't, again, I was a pretty young guy. I was just starting to work. I was building an album collection, but I couldn't afford to buy every record I wanted to.
Right.
So what I would do is I would record those shows like Midnight Metal and WSOU.
Sure.
And I would go to bed and leave my recorder on and then wake up the next day and basically listen to that tape all week. And that was how I got exposed to a lot of stuff too. So thanks to Matt O'Shaughnessy for turning me on to lots of good music. That's where I found Nasty Savage, Exciter, and stuff like, other stuff too, like Leatherwolf and Armored Saint. Like there was other shit that was happening at that time too,
Yeah,
so,
we talked with Dean a while back from Leatherwolf, Dean Roberts. They're re-energized again and they're coming back again and playing shows. Yeah,
they were killer, man. I love them. And then Fate's Warning and that whole school of stuff. Like there was just so much good music in those days. It was cool.
Yeah, definitely. It was a totally different time.
Yep.
Totally different time. So we talked a little bit about songwriting with other bands. So can you maybe walk us through a little bit of what your process is and how it's been recording in this crazy world that we are in now, recording the new album?
Yeah, I mean, I think that our process, the more that I've talked with people about this, the more I kind of have come to understand that we pretty much write like a lot of other bands do. We write riffs first. It usually starts on the guitar. I write off of guitar mostly. I mean, sometimes I'll write from piano, maybe here and there, but for the most part, it's guitar. Riff first, goes to a beat, come up with a beat, come up with a melody on top of that, come up with lyrics. When that's all said and done, solos are the last thing to come on board. That's kind of our process. That's how we work. On Morta, it was more organic than the recordings, the EPs that we had been doing over the years prior to this. Like we did a couple of things. We recorded in 2014, 2017, 2018. And all three of those EPs were basically me in my house doing my parts and then sending out for everyone else to do their parts. This time around, we did it like a real band. It was like a real recording. And you can hear that. I think that's the big difference between Morta, the long play, and the EPs leading up to this. The real difference is that we did it as a real band. And there's definitely, you can hear that on recordings. You can tell when it's a project versus a band. There's a difference.
Yeah. So you guys were actually able to get into the studio and get some time and be there together and stuff.
Well, our houses were the studio.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was still basically like, we still did it like that, but we did it very much as a band. Like I went and stayed with Jim for 10 days and lived in his house, and we totally like took over his house to record. Like, it was really cool. It was a very, very cool experience.
Excellent. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the track Power, and I was listening to it a couple times today, and it's really like a call to order for me. It's like summoning the masses, and I hear a lot of Yngwie elements or influences to it, which is really cool because I really like the old Yngwie stuff, So, but tell us about the track Power.
Yngwie is probably one of the not. I'll answer the question too, but just as long as you said Yngwie, Yngwie is sort of like the master of phrasing. Early Yngwie, Rising Force, Marching Out, those first couple of records, man,
amazing,
untouchable, fucking amazing talent, that guy.
Yeah,
and just a kid at that point too,
Yeah, I got to catch him here. Was it last year? And he's still amazing live. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, Yngwie kills it. He kills it. Even though he's looking more and more like Elvis Presley as he goes.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I don't know himself in the mutton chops, but
dude, he is totally metal Elvis, like with the square glasses and the rings, and he's like, it's pretty cool.
You're right. Yeah, you're definitely right there. Yeah. I didn't think about that part, but yeah.
And every time I see Yngwie, I always think of the Pantera video where they're like chasing him with the donuts. Like I don't know if right. Every time I think of or see Yngwie, I think of that and I laugh, and I love him. Like no diss to Yngwie, super talent, but pretty funny. Anyway, Power's a kind of a protest song lyrically. It's not. A lot of the record is very dark. It's much more serious than World Circus and Think This. I mean, World Circus and Think This, we were young. We were kids, and while we were playing with dark themes, we didn't really know what it meant. Now, on this side of experience, we have a much better handle on the darker side of life, and you can hear it in the lyrics. You can feel it in the music too. This album has a darkness to it. So, Power, at least superficially, I would feel is like kind of one of the more sort of direct tunes on the record. Easy for people to. It's accessible. You can get it on a first listen or a second listen. But if you get into it a little more, you start to realize what it's really about. And it's kind of challenging the church. It's challenging the idea of God being an ultimate authority without question when we can't even really define that it's actually there. And, you know, beware the powers that be. He who wields the word of God is the ultimate master, and that's a problem because
yes,
God
that can be a scary problem, right?
Yeah,
there's been a lot of loony guys that thought they were wielding that power, right?
Yeah, you know, when people tell me they hear God, I'm like, okay, you know, like
right.
And yet, like again, in somehow our reality, all of us, our reality is subjective. Like if you don't tolerate that belief in like a complete supernatural, and again, I say this with all due respect to people's beliefs, but I really do feel that it's the reverse. It's the religion itself, it's the organization that doesn't respect society. It's the intrusion into our lives. We're not intruding into their lives. I never tell anyone what to do, and yet on my dollar bill it says, "In God I trust," and I absolutely do not. Like it's totally an intrusion on me, not the other way around. So power is kind of more or less a shot at that. And musically, it definitely has some moments of some neoclassical guitar. I was leaning into my guitar playing on that song for sure.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I think it's an outstanding track for sure, and I wanted to play the video for it. And we'll be back more with Josh from TOXIK here on Talking About Rock.
Suspect
All right, we're back here on Talking About Rock with Josh from TOXIK. Just checked out the video for Power. Excellent, very driving song, just amazing with the, like you're talking about a little bit, like some of the dark elements that you guys are putting into this new album. You can definitely feel that in all the tracks I was able to listen to on the album. Just really really you know, the songwriting and the style just is phenomenal. I was really digging it. I must tell you, you know.
That's really nice, Rob. Thanks.
No problem. Yeah. So not only this you've been doing, but you've also, what I've read, you've composed and written stuff for television, films, and other interactive titles too. So you're a busy guy.
Yeah, no, I did. I've spent the last 30 years making music in all kinds of different venues, from live and rock with other people too. I mean, I've produced some records for other people and done a few solo records as well along the way. Yes, I've scored some film. I've worked on some television. I've done some interactive titles. I did some ad work. I did actually quite a bit of ad work. Yeah, you know, I just keep him busy doing music. Music is music. I have always sort of adopted the philosophy that as long as I'm making music, I'm happy. I like metal the most because it lets me play my guitar, and that's a whole other expression, another level of expression. Because there's a there's a high, you know, like I have to really invest in that to get that out of it. So there's a different kind of reward, personal reward system with that. But just the joy of making music really doesn't matter what kind of music it is. I feel that no matter what I'm doing when I'm creating.
Yeah, it's just such an emotional connection, right? I mean, making it, listening to it, you know, when people connect with your songs and you know, things that you're saying, it's always amazing when you see your audience, you know, really getting into that. So
as someone who's kind of like, maybe like in a way, I'm fairly expressive verbally, like I'm able to communicate pretty well, but in reality, I don't express my feelings that well. I think like a lot of people are like that. I think like you can have a command of the language and be super expressive, but never ever really convey a whole lot of emotion, right? Like it's, in fact, if anything, verbalization of things is a way to avoid being emotional, because the more noise you can put out, the less you have to really invest of yourself in a genuine way. Music's exactly the opposite. It's all you. It's all like of emotion and ideas, and I don't know, that combination of like the desire to make something that you hope will entertain other people, but that you're entertaining yourself with at the same time. Like, it's cool, man. It's magic. It really is.
When I think about it, I always think about the lyrics for Triumph. Music is the sounds inside your soul, and that's what it is. You know, I mean, if you wanted to explain it to someone that couldn't hear or didn't know it, that's what it is to me. That definitely sums it up.
Amazing creation. Like it's how we kind of know it's our, you know, it's our little, it's how we know we're something special, you know, because we're able to manifest that.
Exactly. And another thing I always like to ask guitar players and check out what they're doing is, what type of gear and equipment do you use? Have you changed it up a little bit? Do you go rack mount? Do you have certain stuff that you like?
Over the years, I've gone through all the various sort of, you know, iterations of gear preferences that people have had. I mean, we did go from rack back to tube amps to modelers, now back to tube amps again. Kind of people sort of getting over the whole Kemper thing and sort of finding their way back to their angles and their PV stuff. Or more expensive, you know. But I kind of use what I have available to me. I would love to sit here and brag about my boutique, you know, collection of stuff, but I'm a working class guy. I do have 30 plus guitars, but a lot of them are sort of like Frankentellis and Strats that I've put together over the years. I'm kind of the same way with my gear. I put stuff together that I think works, and I'm not really married to any one thing at any given time. If something better comes along, or I like the way something feels, it's kind of like the Van Halen thing. Eddie was like that too. If it works, you incorporate it in, and a lot of times people can't hear it because I really feel most of your tone, especially if you're a stylist. Like, I feel I'm kind of a stylized guitar player. It sounds like me no matter what I'm playing through, especially my solos. Like, I can always sort of ID myself through my playing as opposed to my sound. So that frees me up and allows me to use a lot of different sounds. And like on this Morta, I'm playing with a lot of different sounds. I've got wah pedals, I've got delays, I've got chorus and flanger going, I'm doubling, I've got the harmonizer running now and again. Like, I used a lot of shit on this record. much more than I ever did in the past, and I really like it. I feel like it adds a lot of atmosphere.
Adds a lot of layers and definitely more energy to the songs for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, it just gives it more texture, just gives it more. It's cool.
So. Exactly. So next song I wanted to check out here and talk about is Creating the Abyss. That was another song that you guys put out recently, and that was amazing too. Tell us a little bit about that track.
Creating the Abyss is really kind of like a tone poem. What I was trying to do musically with that song was write something that's in 4, and if you count it, it is 4 from start to finish, but it sounds like it goes all over the place with time signatures, and that's intentional. I wanted it to feel like it was really stretching the fabric of time and space, but in reality, it's really in 4. And it's got that churning sort of, it's polyphonic, okay? It's a polyphony where I've got the bass is playing and the rhythm guitar is playing this one sort of riff, and then there's a halftime riff that goes over top of that. The drum is playing something else, and then the vocals sing something else on top of that. So it's really like a fabric. It's definitely weaved together. And if you take any one part out of it, I've seen a couple of people say on YouTube, actually quote on the song, that it doesn't sound like the vocals match the music. And I can understand how someone might hear it that way, because it really is a bit of a puzzle musically. It's a Rubik's Cube. It fits together the way it does. And it may be a little off-putting. I could see somebody like not being able to catch that. If you take any one of those elements out of it, the song is not the same. It all depends on itself to really work, which is very, very different as well for most of the record. It's really the only song I think on the record that really is like that sort of churning, and it never stops. It's like that from the opening riff all the way to the end, which is cool.
Definitely. Well, I think it's an amazing track, and we wanted to play the video for that real quick. We'll take another break here, and we'll be right back on Talking About Rock. We'll check out the video for Creating the Abyss. Okay, we're back here on Talking About Rock. Just checked out the track for Creating the Abyss. Another amazing track that from the Just Morta album that's coming out August 5th. So what's the plan of attack going forward for you guys? Is there some tour dates coming down the line, or are you still working things out, or what's the plan?
Just the order of things that are going to happen. So the record comes out August 5th. We'll start to explore what our touring options are after the record is out, because obviously that's when you start to get those offers.
Right.
We are already in the studio recording the follow-up to Dis Morta. We hope to have the follow-up out within 12 to 14 months, so there's not a long gap between the releases. Keep us current in people's minds, and just keep going with it, man. I mean, really, like, just right now with the band as tight as it is in terms of the unit, that I have a great lineup now, and everybody very, very sort of intent on the same thing. We want to go out and support the music. We want to record new music, and we want to support what we've got out. So you've got a very focused unit that's ready to go out and play. So I imagine you'll see quite a bit of us live. I mean, that's in the States, Europe, Latin America. We plan on going everywhere we can, and as long as finances allow, because obviously you can't just jump out and play for free. It has to make sense. But I think we're going to be able to play a lot. I think we're going to get out there a lot this time around.
That sounds excellent. We hope to see you out there for sure. So if folks want to know more about you, where should they check you out? On social media, your site, or?
Well, at this point, it's the same, I think, for all of us now. Really, like, Spotify is like, and Instagram are sort of becoming our main places to do business. Facebook has dropped off. I hate to say it, but Facebook just losing a lot of power now. So, I mean, you've got my page, Josh Christian TOXIK. I'm on there. TOXIK Official is on there. You can find TOXIK on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Massacre has a nice portal for us. Again, Spotify, we've got 50,000 followers there. Please go to Spotify and follow us. That makes probably more of a difference than anything else in terms of what the record company's looking at and getting us to work. So the more people we have supporting us on Spotify and the streaming sites, the better. And that's it. Come and find us and enjoy the new record, man. We really busted our ass to put something out that's legit.
Yeah, so. Well, it's really great. I like it. And I definitely agree with you. The Spotify streaming is a huge thing right now. So we hope to see you guys out on tour. The album's out August 5th. Josh, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it, man. And if you folks out there want to know more about us, or you have questions or comments, please feel free to email us at talkingaboutrock@gmail.com. Please like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can check out this interview on YouTube, and we'll be dropping it to all the streaming services soon. Josh, again, thanks for being with us tonight, man.
Right on, Rob. Thanks again. Metal family, good people out there, one and all. Thank you very much.